Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Scriney, and welcome to the DCU School of Computing PhD Research Series, where each week we take one PhD student and ask them who they are, what is their research about, and why is their research important. And this week we have Aidan Brady to talk to us about officiating Gaelic games.
So my name is Aidan Brady. I'm a third year PhD student in DCU in the School of Health and Human Performance and the School of Computing. My background is primarily in the area of exercise physiology and sports science. Initially, I completed my undergraduate degree in sports science and health here in DCU in 2016. And during the course of my degree, I spent about 9 months working abroad in Canada in a high performance training facility where I worked with a range of different athletes from a number of different sports, both professional and amateur, in terms of their physical preparation. After I completed my degree, I worked as a research assistant for roughly 12 months. During this time, I started working with Professor Niall Moyna and Dr. Andrew McCarran, along with the GAA, with the national match officials for both Gaelic football and hurling. And we led out on a pilot study investigating the demands elite intercounty referees are exposed to during games. And we identified a number of key areas in which there's a lack of information available in relation to these demands and a real need to improve our understanding. So from this, we put together a PhD proposal, which we submitted to the Irish Research Council, which thankfully was accepted. And in recent years, the preparation of Gaelic football and hurling players has become almost professional in nature, whereby the intensity of play increases year on year. And with this has come a dramatic increase in the physical and physiological demands for both players and referees. And in this regard, it's vitally important for referees to also develop the requisite fitness components in order to optimally officiate. So the overall aim of my research is to provide a scientific basis to underpin the preparation of Gaelic Games referees. So my research has 3 main objectives. And the first one of these is to investigate the physical and physiological demands that referees are exposed to during senior intercounty games. And at present, there's no published literature available for Gaelic Games referees. And so we want to change this. We're measuring the demands in a number of different ways. We measure the external load that they're exposed to through the use of player tracking technology like GPS devices. We measure the internal loads via heart rate monitors. We also look at the metabolic or the energetic demands through the collection of small blood samples pre, during, and post-game, in addition to subjective ratings of exertion, i.e., how hard the referees themselves feel they're working. So GPS devices are extremely common now in sporting environments, and they enable the quantification of a number of external load variables, like the total distances being covered by referees, the speeds that these distances are being covered at, the number of accelerations, decelerations, and sprints, along with a host of other metrics. But to gain a more in-depth understanding of the demands experienced during games, the total distance covered is typically broken down into a number of speed-related movement categories. These vary in intensity and are often given descriptors like walking, jogging, low, moderate, or high-speed running. However, there's a number of big issues with this, in that these categories are generic and don't account for individual differences in physical capacity. And therefore, a key aspect of my first objective has been to apply a data mining approach to the GPS data, making these categories specific to each individual referee. Referees are now expected to train and maintain a high level of fitness all year round. We assess their fitness levels in January, prior to the National League, and again in April before the start of the All-Ireland Championship. And the type of test undertaken depends on the fitness component being measured, whether it's speed, strength, or endurance. So using GPS and the heart rate data, along with the samples of blood lactate that we've collected before, during, and after games, our second objective involves developing and modifying fitness tests to ensure that they're appropriate for Gaelic football and hurling referees. And so our final objective then relates to the fitness training of the referees. And so due to the amateur status of Gaelic Games, there's limited training time available for the referees. And as a result, the development of time-efficient training protocols is imperative. So we're hoping to carry out a randomized control trial with the group of referees and examine a number of different training regimes which are reflective of the demands experienced during games that can be completed in a time-efficient manner and will ensure that referees develop the requisite fitness components needed to officiate at the highest level in Gaelic games. So, why is this research important? Well, we're the first to quantify the demands experienced by elite Gaelic football and hurling referees during competitive games. This information is vital in that it allows coaches and practitioners to tailor training to the demands experienced during a game, meaning we can provide our referees with the optimal training stimulus to promote adaptation. And by replicating the speeds and distances achieved during games and training, we can also help to reduce soft tissue injuries, maximizing the time that we have our referees available to do their job. Because without a referee, games can't be played. We've also successfully generated a number of movement categories specific to the referee using our data mining algorithm. And this approach overcomes a number of previous limitations that exist in the literature. Primarily, it's sensitive to individual differences in physical capacity, generating categories for each individual rather than just using a generic boundary. And we know that a high level of physical fitness is associated with reduced levels of fatigue and is inextricably linked to decision making. So developing these resources will help to ensure that referees are at the top of their game next time they step out into the field.